What if the real reason you're not attracting what you want is because deep down you still don't believe you deserve it? Not love, not peace, not success, nothing. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing and start loving yourself fully, that's when everything begins to flow toward you. You, yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. We've been conditioned to search outside, approval, validation, worth. But Buddhism teaches the opposite. The world mirrors how you treat yourself. So ask yourself, what is your energy really calling in? Is it desperation or quiet self-respect? In this video, we'll unravel powerful Buddhist lessons that reveal how deep self-love transforms your reality. And there's a bonus spiritual insight at the end, a truth most never realize, but it changes everything when you do. Before we begin with number 1, subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. Let's begin. 1. Chasing is the shadow of self-doubt. Why does everything seem to run when you chase it? Why do the things you desire, love, success, peace, seem to drift further the harder you pursue them? In Buddhism, we say, the one who chases the world forgets the stillness that moves it. There is a quiet truth buried here, a truth that whispers. When your heart is restless, life becomes elusive. Imagine a bird in your open palm. If you grasp for it with panic, it flies away. But if you stay still, calm, centered, it may choose to rest upon you. This is the nature of all things we desire. The more we chase them from a place of lack, the more they sense the fear beneath our reaching. And fear, even when disguised as ambition, repels. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it mirrors the state of your soul. You've been taught that if you want something, run after it. Work harder, do more, chase faster. But Buddhism teaches another path, stillness. Not passivity, but conscious presence. When you love yourself deeply, the chasing ends. You stop begging life to give you proof of your worth. You become the proof. And in that stillness, things begin to come to you. Not because you forced them, but because you stopped resisting yourself. Close your eyes, breathe slowly. Visualize your desires, not as mountains you must climb, but as petals on still water. Watch them drift toward you as you remain grounded, anchored in self-love. When the waters of your mind are still, even the moon reflects clearly. Perhaps what you are chasing is not what you need. Perhaps it's the part of you that feels unworthy, that needs your attention, not the outcome. So ask yourself gently, what are you chasing that may be trying to escape your desperation? And deeper still, can you sit with the part of you that feels unworthy? Can you simply hold it with compassion? Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not from not having, but from clinging. From believing you must earn what you already deserve. But when you begin to love yourself, not for who you might become, but for who you are right now, peace arises, and peace is magnetic. It pulls the right people, the right moments, the right opportunities into your life without struggle. The irony is, the moment you stop chasing, you begin attracting. Why? Because the universe responds not to your desperation, but to your vibration. And the vibration of self-love is powerful. It doesn't need to demand, it simply allows. The more you return to yourself, the more the world turns toward you. Remember this, you are not empty. You are the space everything is trying to enter. When you love yourself enough, the world no longer needs to fill your void. It begins to meet your fullness. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more. Wholeness attracts. Wounds repel." What if the world never gives you what you long for? but always gives you what you deeply believe you deserve. Not in punishment, but in reflection. In Buddhism, we do not chase outcomes, we study causes. And the truest cause of what you attract is the energy you carry within. There is a quiet law at work. Wholeness attracts, wounds repel. Not because you are broken, but because unhealed energy distorts what you call in. Imagine a bowl with cracks. You can pour water into it endlessly, but the fullness never lasts. The water leaks through the fractures. Now imagine the soul. You can gather people, possessions, even praise. But if your self-belief is fractured, the joy seeps out. You may ask, why do I keep attracting the same kind of hurt, the same emptiness wearing new faces, the same silence after so much effort? The answer is rarely outside. It lives in the echo within. Until you truly see yourself not as wounded, but as worthy, you'll keep calling in people and situations that confirm your doubts. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Visualize your inner being like a broken bowl. Now imagine golden light pouring into its cracks, sealing them, not with shame, but with sacred beauty. In Japanese art, they call this kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold. Not to hide the damage, but to honor it. Your pain is not your failure. It is your path. And when you love your cracks, they begin to glow. So ask yourself, are you trying to manifest from pain or peace? Because the universe listens to your energy, not your words. If you believe you are not enough, it will keep mirroring situations that say, yes, you're right. But if you begin, even softly, to hold yourself as enough, your entire reality begins to shift. Not overnight, but steadily, like sunlight melting morning mist. The Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This is not sentiment, it is strategy. Love becomes your power, not because it changes others, but because it transforms what you allow, what you expect, what you call in. Let your energy whisper peace. Let your presence say, I no longer beg, I welcome. The world does not respond to longing, it responds to wholeness. And you are allowed to begin healing here, now, just as you are. You are not too broken to attract beauty. You are already beautiful, waiting to believe it. The universe does not test your worth. It reflects it. So the moment you begin to love yourself enough, everything begins to change. Stillness creates magnetic power. Why does silence attract more truth than shouting ever will? In the stillness, something ancient awakens. Like a flame in the dark, the still soul draws all that seeks light, not because it screams to be seen, but because it simply glows. In Buddhism, this is not called passivity, it is called alignment. When you are no longer frantic to be heard, no longer desperate to be chosen, your energy becomes pure and life begins to listen. We live in a world that rewards noise. The loudest voices get the attention, the boldest moves seem to win. But deep beneath the surface, the universe responds not to noise, but to vibration, to clarity. Stillness is not the absence of effort, it is the presence of inner order. When your being is aligned, when your thoughts stop racing, when your heart ceases to grasp, you become magnetic, not because you try, but because you are finally in harmony with the rhythm of things. Close your eyes now. Feel your breath move in and out like ripples on a still lake. There's nothing to fix, no need to prove, just be. And in that being, a power rises. The kind of power that doesn't need to chase because it knows what it brings. The kind of power that doesn't need to explain itself to be felt. Many people ask, why do I feel unheard, unseen, unnoticed, despite all my efforts? The answer often lies not in what you're doing, but in why you're doing it. Where in your life are you loud because you're afraid of being ignored? That noise, however subtle, often masks the fear of unworthiness. But here's the deeper question. What would happen if you trusted your presence more than your performance? When a flower blooms in silence, bees still find it. When a mountain stands still, the clouds move around it. Stillness is not the absence of power. It is the highest expression of it. Because when you are still, your energy speaks. And in that pure vibration, the right people come. The right moments arrive. The universe leans in because stillness signals trust. You do not need to shout to be understood. You do not need to beg to be loved. You only need to return to the calm within you, the calm that remembers its worth. That calm is your truest signal, your most honest magnet. And when you let go of the frantic need to perform, you become luminous in a way no performance could ever create. So remember, stillness does not make you invisible. It makes you undeniable. When you love yourself enough to be still, the world cannot help but feel you. Detachment is the highest form of faith. Can you want something deeply and still be at peace without it? This is the heart of detachment, not the cold denial of desire, but the warm trust that what is meant for you will find its way. In Buddhist wisdom, detachment is not rejection. It is reverence. It is the quiet understanding that life moves best when it flows, not when it's forced. We often hold our desires so tightly that we strangle them. We grip onto relationships, outcomes, timelines, thinking our control will secure them. But the tighter you hold, the more life resists. A tight grip suffocates, not because the dream is wrong, but because fear has replaced trust. And where fear leads, peace cannot follow. Close your eyes. Imagine your desire as a butterfly resting on your palm. You're tempted to close your fingers, to trap it, to keep it near. But you don't. You breathe. You stay open. And if it flies away, you allow it. Not because you don't care, but because you trust. You trust that what is meant for you cannot be kept away by time or people or even distance. You trust the deeper current beneath life's surface. Detachment is the highest form of faith. It says, I have planted the seed. Now I will not dig it up every day to check if it's growing. It's the wisdom to know when to act and when to surrender. Because surrender is not giving up. It's giving space. Ask yourself gently, what are you holding so tightly it can't breathe? Perhaps it's a person, a plan, or the image of who you think you must become. Can you release the need to control the outcome? Can you love without clinging? Can you strive without suffering? The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. It's not the letting go that causes pain, it's the resistance. And when you begin to soften your grip, something beautiful happens. Peace enters, energy clears, life can move freely again. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough to let things grow on their own. It means your faith is stronger than your fear. And that's when the universe responds, not to your grasping, but to your grace. You are allowed to want beautiful things, but love yourself enough to not make your happiness depend on them. Let your joy be rooted in presence, not possession. In this way you become unshakable, calm in your desire, yet free in your spirit. So remember, let go, not because you're indifferent, but because you trust. What is meant for you will never feel forced. And when you love yourself enough to release the need for control, life begins to unfold in ways even your best plans couldn't imagine. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." Self-compassion turns chaos into clarity. What if healing isn't about fixing yourself, but about finally holding your pain without judgment? In a world obsessed with self-improvement, Buddhism offers a softer truth. You don't have to be perfect to be at peace. You only need to stop abandoning yourself every time you're hurting. Peace, it is said, is not born from the absence of pain, but from the presence of love in pain. We often treat our wounds like enemies, scrambling to hide them, silence them, erase them. But what if your deepest chaos is only asking for compassion, not solutions, just space to breathe? When you respond to your flaws with kindness instead of shame, something begins to shift. You soften, you become safe to yourself, and that safety becomes a quiet light the world responds to. Place your hand on your heart for a moment, feel its warmth, repeat inwardly, "Even this deserves my love." Even the regret, even the fear, even the part of you you wish would disappear, all of it held in the embrace of your own presence. This is not weakness, it is spiritual strength. Because self-compassion is not passive, it's how you reclaim power from inner violence. Many carry an invisible war within, a voice that criticizes, shames, and belittles, and we wonder why peace feels so far away. But the Buddha taught, hatred does not cease by hatred, but by love alone. That includes self-hatred. So ask yourself now, with honesty, where are you still bullying your inner child? Is it the voice that says you're never enough, or the one that punishes you for not being healed already? And then ask, what would change if you offered your pain understanding instead of rejection? Could you listen to your sadness instead of silencing it? Could you let your mistakes rest without naming them your identity? Healing begins in this gentle shift from fixing to holding, from punishing to listening. When you treat yourself with the same compassion you offer others, your energy softens, your vibration rises, and that is when life begins to respond differently. Not because your circumstances changed, but because you did. You attract not by becoming flawless, but by becoming whole. And wholeness doesn't mean nothing is broken. It means nothing is abandoned. When you love yourself enough to sit with your chaos instead of judging it, clarity begins to form like morning light through fog. So remember this, you are not too much, you are not too late. You are not broken beyond repair. You are simply waiting to be held in your own arms with your own heart. And when you learn to love even this, the world learns to love you back. The universe reflects your inner dialogue. What if every relationship in your life is simply a mirror reflecting how you speak to yourself when no one is listening? In Buddhist understanding, the world is not separate from your mind. Your outer experience is shaped by your inner dialogue. Not always immediately, but consistently. We don't see others as they are, it's said. We see them as we are. And if you look closely, you'll notice what you tolerate within, you tend to tolerate without. If you speak to yourself with harshness, you begin to accept that tone from others. If you neglect your own emotional needs, you attract relationships that do the same. This isn't blame, it's awareness. When you begin to love yourself truly and quietly, you raise the energetic standard for everything in your life. Your self-regard becomes the foundation, and the universe builds from there. Imagine standing beside a calm body of water. Look into it and see your reflection. Not your face, but your voice. What are you saying to yourself when you're alone? Are you encouraging? Or are you tearing down your own spirit before anyone else has the chance? How am I speaking to myself when no one is listening? Ask that, because the universe is always listening. There is a truth here, soft but powerful. Self-love sets the energetic minimum for how others treat you. When you respect your boundaries, others begin to do the same. When you speak kindly to your inner world, your outer world begins to mirror it. And if it doesn't, if someone continues to offer less than what you now give yourself, you will know how to walk away, not in anger, in alignment. So ask yourself gently, are you teaching the world to love you or to overlook you? Every time you abandon your needs, every time you silence your truth, you send a signal. This is okay, but it isn't. You deserve to be treated with the same care you wish to offer, and it starts with you. And now, another question. If someone treated you the way you treat yourself, would you stay? Sit with that. Let it echo. If the answer brings discomfort, that is your starting point. Not to judge, but to begin a new kind of relationship with your own heart. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are worthy of. So speak to yourself with love. Act as though you matter, because you do. And when that becomes your inner dialogue, your life begins to rearrange around that truth. Not perfectly, but profoundly. When you love yourself enough to change the way you speak within, the universe listens and begins to speak back in kindness. Peace is the most powerful frequency. Why do the most peaceful people seem to draw everything they need without the chase, without the noise? In Buddhism, it is taught that still water reflects the stars, not because it tries, but because it is calm enough to receive. Peace is not a luxury, it is a powerful frequency, one that signals to life itself. I am ready, not because I control, but because I trust. Inner peace creates space, and in space, things arrive. When your heart is no longer crowded with fear, attachment, or restlessness, there is room for what you truly desire to enter. Not rushed, not forced, but invited. Peace becomes the gate through which all blessings flow, not because you chase them, but because you are aligned with their arrival. Take a breath. Imagine yourself sitting in a quiet forest, the air still, the wind gentle. You are not striving. You are not proving. You are simply being. What comes to you in this silence? Perhaps an idea, perhaps a memory, or maybe a deep knowing that you are already enough. In that awareness, you become a magnet, not for everything, but for what truly belongs. Yet many avoid this peace. Not because they don't want it, but because it reveals too much. Noise becomes a shield. We fill our lives with distractions, urgency, and chaos, not always to achieve, but to avoid. Are you filling your life with noise to avoid your own stillness? Stillness, after all, reflects everything. And sometimes what we see in that reflection is uncomfortable. But only when we see it can we soften it. The most peaceful people are not untouched by pain. They are simply no longer ruled by it. Their strength comes from within, from having sat in silence with their fears and having made peace with them. That presence, that calm, it draws others. It draws opportunity. It draws abundance, not because it asks loudly, but because it stands quietly without resistance. So ask yourself with openness, what might life bring if you stopped demanding and started allowing? What if instead of pushing, you became spacious? What if instead of hustling, you rested in trust? Peace is not the absence of effort. It is the absence of struggle. It is the choice to let life come to you while you remain deeply rooted in your own being. You do not need to exhaust yourself to be worthy. You do not need to force what is meant for you. Love yourself enough to create peace within, and the world will begin to reflect it without. When your frequency is calm, your life begins to harmonize, not immediately, but inevitably. So remember, the still soul draws all that seeks light. In your calm, you become radiant. In your peace, you become powerful. Neediness is the enemy of receiving. Could your hunger for love be the very thing blocking its arrival? In Buddhism, we learn that clinging pushes away the very things we think we need. Not because desire is wrong, but because desperation distorts our energy. What you cling to, you push away. Not with your hands, but with your fear, your self-abandonment, your belief that you are incomplete without it. The moment you believe you need something to be whole, you've already forgotten that you are. That forgetting creates a wall, and no matter how loudly you ask, the universe hears your lack more than your words. Neediness is not the same as longing. Longing can be soft, patient, open. Neediness is sharp. It says, if I don't have this, I am not enough. And that belief becomes a barrier, not a bridge. Close your eyes. Imagine a thick rope you've been gripping tightly. Perhaps a person, a goal, a version of yourself. Your hands are tired. Your heart is heavy. Now imagine letting go, not out of defeat, but out of trust. Feel the relief in your hands. Feel the space opening in your chest. That's what surrender feels like. Not giving up, but finally letting life breathe. We often confuse need with love, but true love does not beg. It does not plead. It invites, it welcomes, but never clings. So ask yourself, where does need disguise itself as desire in your life? Is it in the way you chase validation, the way you fear being alone, the way you shape yourself to be chosen? Ask deeper. Can you trust that what's meant for you won't require begging, that what truly belongs to you will never ask you to shrink to receive it? When you begin to believe that you are already whole, your energy shifts. You go from searching to radiating, and in that radiance, life begins to respond. Self-love dissolves need. It says, even if nothing arrives, I am still enough. And ironically, it is from that space, the space of sufficiency, that everything begins to flow. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped clinging. You made space. You aligned. Need is heavy. It repels. But presence is light. It attracts. When you remember your own completeness, your desires stop screaming. They become gentle whispers. And gentle whispers are heard more clearly by the universe. So breathe. Let go of the rope. Trust your wholeness. When you love yourself enough to no longer beg, you finally begin to receive. And in that quiet, dignified energy, everything you once chased begins to find its way to you, not as a test, but as a reflection. Become what you want to receive. Are you asking for something you're not yet giving to yourself? This is the quiet question that shifts everything. In the teachings of Buddhism, the outer world is never separate. It is a mirror, reflecting the truth of our being. We attract not what we want, but what we are. And so, if we wish to change what comes to us, we must first change what comes from us. If you want loyalty, ask yourself, am I loyal to my own needs, my boundaries, my truth? If you want peace, ask, do I feed my mind peace, or do I let it feast on anxiety and comparison? If you want abundance, ask, do I speak of lack? Do I live in fear of not enough? So often we call for light while clinging to the shadows we refuse to release. We pray for love while abandoning ourselves in silence. Imagine your future self, not someday far off, but the version of you who already lives in peace, love, and joy. Picture them, breathe with them. What do they think? What do they feel? What do they choose each day that you are still resisting? That version is not out of reach. It is already within you, waiting for you to rise to meet it. You say you want clarity, but still surround yourself with noise. You say you want to be seen, but hide your true self behind masks. You say you want deep love, but speak harshly to your own heart. In what ways are you betraying the very thing you say you want? Sit gently with that, not to judge, but to awaken. Because to receive something new, we must become something new. That doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means becoming more honest, more open, more aligned with what we say we desire. Who do you need to become to receive what you're calling in? not someday, not after the perfect conditions, but now, through small daily acts of self-honoring. The universe listens more to your frequency than your words, and frequency is created by being, not wishing. When your being aligns with your vision, life starts to mirror it, slowly at first, then all at once. Not because it's magic, but because it's natural. What you radiate, you attract, and what you embody, you invite. So love yourself enough to become the love you're looking for. Be the peace you crave. Speak the truth you want to hear. Because when you live the energy of what you seek, you no longer need to chase it. It begins to arrive, drawn not by need, but by recognition. You are not far from the life you want. You are just one decision away from being the version of yourself who welcomes it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more. Let the old you die to become free." What identities must fall for the new to arrive? In the stillness of Buddhist reflection, we are reminded to be reborn. The old self must return to silence. Not destroyed, not denied, simply laid to rest. Like a leaf that once held sunlight, its time is honored, and then it drifts. The self who was hurt, who was overlooked, who had to survive by shrinking or pleasing, has done its work. Now, let it rest. There is a deeper self waiting beneath the ashes, one not born from defense or fear, but from truth. But to reach that self, we must be willing to die, not in body, but in identity. The one who constantly apologized, the one who felt unworthy, the one who chased love to feel seen. These are not who you are. They are who you learned to be in a world that forgot your light. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself shedding an old skin. Feel it fall away, not with struggle, but with grace. And now, picture your bare feet stepping into a new morning. The light touches your face. The air is soft. You feel no urgency, only a quiet remembering. You were never the pain. You were never the label. You were never the story. You are what remains when the story ends. So ask yourself with tenderness, what stories about yourself are you still clinging to? Are you still defining yourself by who left you, by what you failed, by how long it took you to heal? Those stories may have been true once, but you are allowed to outgrow them. The past is not a prison unless you carry the key in your own pocket. And then ask, who are you without the pain? Not empty, but vast. Not unfinished, but unfolding. This is where your power returns, not by clinging to who you were, but by meeting who you're becoming. You don't need to abandon your past. You only need to stop living through it. In Buddhism, death is never an end. It is a return, a cycle, a transformation. And this inner death, the letting go of false identities, is the most sacred kind. Because through it, you begin to live from your essence, not your fear. From your presence, not your pattern. So let the old you die. Let the version of you that had to fight for love rest. Let the one who kept proving their worth be still. You are not here to survive your past. You are here to embody your freedom. And when you love yourself enough to release what you no longer are, you become a vessel for what you've always been. Whole, unshaken, free. True power is quiet confidence. There is a kind of power that does not shout. It does not demand attention. It simply is. In the way the bamboo stands, quiet, flexible, unshaken, you can feel its strength, not from its volume, but from its depth. This is the way of true power. Silent, steady, rooted. In a world addicted to noise, self-love becomes an act of rebellion when it is silent. When it no longer needs to prove anything because it already knows its worth. You don't need to announce your value when you're anchored in it. You don't need to chase love when you are love. Quiet confidence is the frequency of those who have returned to themselves. It's the presence of someone who has nothing to prove and everything to offer. And this presence, it speaks louder than words ever could. So many people spend their lives performing worth, trying to earn it, trying to convince others to see it. But when you love yourself deeply, you stop performing and start embodying. You don't move through life looking for applause. You become the silence that commands the room, not with ego, but with essence. Close your eyes. Visualize yourself as a tree, tall, grounded, alive. Feel the wind brush against you. It bends you, but it does not break you. That is what inner strength feels like. Not rigidity, but rootedness. Not dominance, but dignity. Your presence becomes your proof. Your stillness becomes your magnetism. So I ask you now, where in your life are you still performing your worth? In your relationships, in your work, on social media? And what would happen if you stopped? If you simply allowed yourself to be enough as you are in this breath, without the performance? And here's the deeper question. Can you let your energy speak louder than your words? Can you trust that how you carry yourself matters more than what you say? Because people may forget your voice, but they will never forget how they felt in your presence. Buddhist wisdom reminds us the strongest people are often the quietest, not because they are weak, but because they are complete. Their self-respect whispers where ego used to scream. Their compassion replaces control. Their silence becomes sacred. So breathe into your stillness. Stand in your quiet confidence. Let the world feel your worth without you ever needing to explain it. And remember this: releasing desperation creates space for blessings to come in. Become what you wish to receive. Your energy should align with your desires. If you want love, be love. If you seek abundance, live with that energy. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you already are inside. Let go of your old self to find true freedom. Your past roles, pain, and stories need to be released for real change to happen. The version of you that helped you survive isn't the one that leads your spiritual awakening. Freedom comes through letting go, not adding more. True strength is quiet. Real confidence doesn't shout. When you know your worth, you stop needing approval from outside. Silent confidence grows from inner balance, not from outer display. Love yourself the way the universe loves you. You are already enough, even with your imperfections. Self-love isn't something you have to earn, it's something you remember. The universe is always showing you how sacred you already are. When you begin to love yourself completely, not just the bright parts, but also the ones you've hidden or judged, something powerful begins to shift. You stop running after love, approval, or peace, because you realize you're the source of them all. The outside world no longer feels like a place where you need to prove yourself. Instead, it turns into a reflection of your inner calm. This isn't selfishness, it's self-remembrance. It's the spiritual act of returning to your true nature, free from fear, unchained from your past, and not dependent on outside approval. From this inner clarity, you start to attract gently, without force, through quiet harmony. When the mind is clear, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. If this message brought you peace or touched something within, give it a like, share it with someone who may need it. Comment below what self-love means to you, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more Buddhist insights on healing, calm, and inner growth. What's one simple way you'll show yourself unconditional love? Starting today. The deepest rivers make the least noise, yet they carry the greatest power. When you love yourself enough to stop proving, you start attracting, not because you seek attention, but because your energy speaks for itself. That is the essence of real power. A bonus lesson: love yourself as the universe does. What if life already loves you exactly as you are? Not someday, not when you've healed, not when you've achieved something, but right now, in this very breath. In Buddhist teaching, beneath all illusions, there exists something untouched by fear, shame, or imperfection. It's called Buddha nature. It isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. And it means this: you are not broken, you are becoming. We spend so much of life trying to make ourselves worthy. We chase success, validation, and perfection, believing that one day, once we've finally fixed ourselves, we'll deserve peace. But what if there's nothing to fix? What if healing isn't about becoming better, but becoming softer toward what already lives inside you? Buddhism reminds us that even in your darkest hour, your true nature stays untouched, like the sun behind clouds, hidden but never gone. When you start to love yourself through that lens, life stops feeling like a problem to solve. It becomes a dance to join. You no longer struggle to belong because you realize you already do. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the whole universe bowing before you, not because you're perfect, but because you're complete. The stars never ask you to earn your light. The trees never doubt your worth. Nature honors you simply for existing. Can you give yourself that same care? Ask yourself gently, can you offer the same respect to your own heart that you hope to receive from others? When you look in the mirror, can you notice not the flaws, but the light still shining there? Can you stop waiting for permission to love who you already are and go even deeper? What if you truly believed nothing was missing in you? How would you act? How would you speak to yourself? How would you live each day, not from emptiness, but from quiet wholeness? When you love yourself as the universe does, you stop chasing things that only echo your emptiness. You start to attract moments that honor your completeness. You stop needing to be fixed, saved, or changed, and simply begin to be glowing, present, enough. This kind of love changes everything, not by force, but through remembering. Love yourself enough to bow to your own soul. Love yourself enough to stop apologizing for who you are. Because when you live aligned with your true self, the universe doesn't resist. It welcomes you, it reflects you, it moves with you. And suddenly, all you were waiting for begins to appear, not as a reward, but as recognition. Quick recap of the lessons. Chasing comes from self-doubt. The more you chase love, success, or approval, the more you tell life you feel unworthy. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that inner stillness attracts more than endless striving. Letting go of the chase allows life to come to you naturally. Wholeness can resist unhealed parts. Until you face and heal what's inside, the same patterns will repeat. Loving yourself means meeting your pain with awareness, not running from it. What you believe about your worth shapes what you allow into your life. Stillness carries a quiet, magnetic strength. In a loud world, true power comes from inner calm. It connects you to clarity, presence, and steady focus. When your energy is grounded and peaceful, life responds to your frequency with ease. Detachment is one of the purest forms of faith. Wanting is human, but needing creates suffering. Detachment means trusting that what's meant for you will come and stay naturally. It's letting go of control while staying open to life's flow. Self-compassion transforms confusion into clarity. Healing doesn't start by fixing yourself. It begins by accepting yourself. When you meet your inner pain with kindness, clarity naturally rises. Self-love isn't selfish. It's about being emotionally honest and treating yourself with care. The universe echoes the words you use toward yourself. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. Your inner voice shapes your outer world. Real change begins when you speak to yourself with the same love you wish to receive. Peace is the highest vibration. Peace isn't weakness, it's real power. When you stop forcing, rushing, or trying to prove yourself, your energy becomes magnetic. Inner peace helps you attract effortlessly. Neediness blocks receiving. When you believe you need something to feel complete, you unknowingly push it away. True receiving begins when you already feel whole inside.